I, 28F, was preparing to leave my boyfriend, 30M, and now he wants to change. Hey everyone. My boyfriend and I have been together for just over 3 years now. A lot of the issues we have are centered around me being unable to get my needs met, and him being unwilling to try to meet those needs while also not validating them when I have tried to talk to him during the million conversations we had. As you can imagine, this has resulted in me feeling distant from him, unloved, and scared for the future. We've always had issues with communication, and that makes it even harder. I've been in therapy and trying to learn how to be a better person and partner. I'm not perfect, but I've approached things with him every way possible to make this work. At the end of the day, I think we have different ideas of how a relationship should function. I got to the point a few months ago where I gave up. I decided I didn't want to have any more one-sided conversations. I accepted that this is who he is and how the relationship will be. A few weeks ago, he finally realized something was up. I had been distancing myself and not being affectionate anymore. He gave me a notepad that he divided into 2 categories, good and not so good. His name was at the top. On the right he wrote maybe 3 valid negative things that he contributes to our relationship. On the left he had wrote everything humanly possible that was positive. Some of which were as basic as not demeaning to you and willing to hold your hand in public. He filled up the entire good column and continued into the next sheet. I was flabbergasted. He originally wanted me to make my own good/bad list, but I refused. So he sat me down and read me this huge note that he clearly put a lot of thought into. But most of the note was him trying to convince himself he wasn't a bad boyfriend. He kept telling me how he didn't feel loving to affectionate toward me when I don't do the things he needs to be happy. Planning dates and things for us to do mostly, and also thinking about him more. When he said he felt like I don't think about him, I was shocked. I told him that's all I've done for the past few years, think about him and us and how to make the relationship better. Anyway, this convo went on for a long time and I corrected him about the real larger issues we have, since he only seemed to think the issues I had were 2 very specific things. I told him we don't work together to solve our issues. I told him I've felt constantly invalidated and pushes away. I told him I've felt alone in this relationship and I was unsure of how it could get better. I told him how I've been in a constant cycle of should I stay or should I go. Suddenly it hit him, I guess. He came to me and hugged me and apologized genuinely for the first time ever. He half cried for a second and told me how he promises he'll be better and how he realized he's been taking advantage of me. Of course it meant something to me that he said all of this. I was pretty emotional during the conversation. He also told me he wants to try couples therapy. But I told him I wouldn't be searching for the therapist or paying for it. This whole thing was extremely confusing to me. I've disconnected so much over the past few months that I'm finding it hard to believe him. How could I? Every time he changed or things got better, they quickly resorted back to how they were. It's been over a week of him being nice and normal and loving to me again. I still feel weird. My therapist thinks it's because it's too late now and the damage has been done and I've been hurt too many times. He talked to me again yesterday and asked me if him trying even means anything and if he's wasting his time and if he's even wanted around. I told him that I still love him and of course I want him around, but my trust is gone. I don't feel like things will stay good. I told him I think we need different things and we have a difference in how we think relationships should work. I was trying to allude to the fact that I didn't think we should continue. We even briefly talked about what would happen if we did end it. But even after all of that, he still told me how he wants to be better and how he wants to try. He said he's looked into a few couples therapists in our area too. I'd give that was true. But yeah, I'm all mixed up. Part of me thinks if he really does initiate therapy that he is serious about us getting back to a good place. I just don't know how to feel. I don't want to stay in a relationship that I feel stuck and alone in. Our lease ends in June and I need to make a choice soon. Am I right now to be trusting what he's saying? Have any of you had a relationship that was bad and difficult turn good and passionate again? TLDR, after 3 years of issues and me trying to communicate my needs, my boyfriend suddenly wants to try and be better after sensing that something was wrong. I already decided leaving would be best, and he had a long conversation with me telling me how he wants to go to couples therapy and how he promises he'll be better. I don't really believe it'll last. He's been persistent though. Am I wrong to not trust him? Should I give him another chance? Edit. Thank you all for your support, advice, and stories. This relationship has been so confusing and full of hurt. I've been stuck in this cycle for so long. I just love him so much, but I know my intuition was right. I need to leave. Hearing everyone's stories of dealing with almost the exact situation I have, really reaffirmed what I know to be true. He's trying to change to save face and it won't last. You'll all be happy to know that I am planning on leaving still. It's not going to be easy, but I know it's for the best. Relationships are work, but they shouldn't be this hard or one-sided. A lot of people pointed out the manipulative aspects of things he's done or said, and I've always felt like there might be some of that, but I wasn't sure. But maybe me feeling guilty about thinking I should leave is a sign that he really is being manipulative. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I feel validated and much more confident in my initial decision. I'm sure he can be better. With someone else. One of his pros is literally I don't verbally abuse. That's really not great. He doesn't get a cookie for being a bad partner but not an abusive. Also say, it sounds like you've been in this place before at different times in your relationship. But maybe not this definite by how you've described that he'll change then quickly revert back to how he was before. He's shown that he doesn't want to change, or he would have. How do you know this isn't one of those times? Especially with the end of the lease, part of it could be because if he changes for a relatively short period of time, you're legally locked in. Don't stay in a relationship for potential, stay for the person in front of you. Do you like that person? So to be clear, a few weeks ago after he spent a long time trying to convince you both that he was finger guns, awesome, you finally got through to him, and a week ago he started being better, and then one day ago he asked if anything he'd done in a week had, for lack of a better, less pithy way of putting it, fixed everything so he could go back to how things were. This is so absurd. I want to laugh, and yet you're hurting because you're making this big decision finally just for you and your needs, and yet you're so permanently in caregiver and low bar mode to him that even this tiny inkling of effort has you second guessing yourself. I've been there, yes, even in the absurd level minimalist effort situation, and I know it hurts. Keep making a choice for you. How you can really tell that this is on his part is that he asked you if he was wasting his clearly demonstrates that he thinks being nice to you is only worth it if it's convincing you to stay with him. He's not being loving because he loves you and actively wants to treat you well. He's doing it to achieve an end, and as soon as he feels like he's in the clear, stop. Lucky for you, he's too obtuse to realize that he's given himself away in that statement. He thinks that being kind to you is a waste of know what to do here. It seems you maybe just need validation that you're doing the right thing by leaving. You are. You deserve someone who treats you well because they respect you, not because they want something out of it. If he changes for real now, if he puts down real effort to be a better boyfriend, would you really want to stay with him? Nothing changed regardless of how many times you tried to have a conversation about it in the past. Instead, he invalidated your feelings and ignored the issues you talked about. I'm guessing he thought that since you were the one who felt that way, it was your problem to deal with. His actions shows that he never took your concerns seriously, and he didn't care that it affected you negatively. The reason he is currently trying, which may only last until he feels safe that you won't leave him, is only because he realized you were going to leave if he didn't. Too little, too late. My ex did this. Admittedly it was a high school relationship, but it was almost 2 years at that point and we'd successfully done half of that. Long called me twice in the year we were long distance. One the day I left the state to move and one to arrange a visit back to see him. He knew how important calling was to me but constantly rejected my requests to talk over the phone and only communicated over Snapchat. I was done after putting up with it for a year despite having lived together for 3 months for a visit. There were other problems, but that was a big one. For friend told me I deserved better and I finally grew the balls to dump him. I tried calling him to talk about it or at least break up over a call instead of a text, but he refused to call still. So I dumped him over of a sudden. All he wanted to do was call me. He tried calling me all the time to pour his heart out and connect and rekindle things and admit his mistakes and tell me I ruined his life. What a joke. Too little too late. He never wanted to change when I begged him to while we were dating, but when he faced the consequences of his actions he all of a sudden cared about fixing things. Too bad I was over it and didn't care about fixing things. I wanted to find someone that was right for me and didn't need fixing. Which I did. Don't try to beat a dead horse. You are more than capable of finding someone without glaring issues and makes you miserable. How nice that he doesn't actively demean you. You may actually be done with it. But if you want to see if he finds a couples counselor you can. I'd set an internal date by which you see if he has followed through or not. Wow. Not demeaning you. Is literally the bare minimum. It's like those guys who shriek about how nice they are and think that entitles them to women's bodies. Dude, that's the bottom of the barrel. And willing to hold your hand? Did you laugh? Because I one entire week of acting better, and he's all that's enough, right? Girl, throw the whole man away. Let him therapize and grow up for the next poor woman. You will never feel good about him, I promise you that, so you're just wasting your time now on a man who probably thinks not smacking you in the face means he's the best boyfriend in the whole world. This change wouldn't last. The moment you drop your plans to leave and settle back and go back to his old self. If it was lasting change he would have done it without you packing your bags. It sounds like you already have one foot out of the relationship. You have started the motions of emotionally moving on. Do not stay in the relationship because he wants you to. It sounds like too little effort too late on his part. Drop his. He might really want to fix himself but only when he sees her trying to leave. It's a manipulative thing he might not even realize he's doing. You're gonna end up wasting your time if you stay. He'll be good for a few months maybe then go right back. Good luck. Classic tactic to trick you into staying. 99% of the time it's just BS to avoid being dumped. My therapist said this exactly lol. My ex used to say I don't put my hands on you in arguments, as we both knew he was very verbally abusive. Like well you could have it worse yeah but I could also have it better. I don't understand the logic but the fact that he wrote a whole page of positives and only 3 negatives. Shows he's very aware of how bad it's been and he's trying to pretend like it's not by shoving BS positives down your throat to make you feel bad. Yes, I've definitely been here before, knowing or thinking I should leave. It was never a definite thing though. I never made a decision. I was locked into a lease so I just waited it out and then we resigned after I told him that I can't resign unless things will be better. Honestly I never should have resigned, but I also wasn't ready to leave emotionally. I definitely think his fear is contributing to how he's acting. He's scared of me leaving. He knows now that I was thinking about it and looking into what it would take. Completely agree. He seems to be on board to fix things now that you're threatening to leave, but the moment you decide to stay, he will fall back into old habits. That's how this awful cycle is going to remain cyclical. Take heed up, he's only warning you ahead of time that this is how it's going to be. Please keep choosing yourself and leave. Holy. I didn't even catch that. Yes. Op, please read this. Your BF considers what he's been doing work. get tired of it if he views it that way. It was a huge tell, wasn't it? This guy can't even pretend to be nice. Well, imagine that. I'd say deep down you know it's time. I'm so sorry about that. Exactly what I was thinking. It shouldn't be wasting his time to treat her with the bare minimum respect, even if they do break up. You deserve better than this, That was my thought. Not demeaning someone should be a given. You don't get bonus points for that. But yeah, setting a date might be a good idea. Yeah, I've been looking for apartments and everything. I've definitely been 1 foot out the door for a bit now. It's scary, but I just have this feeling that the change is too big at this point for it to be sustainable. Honestly, this is what I'm worried about most. I don't want to be manipulated into staying. Has everything change in the world and now he wants to change? It's a little suspicious to me. If keeping someone as fantastic as you as a partner won't motivate him to make true and lasting efforts, losing someone as fantastic as you might. You already know you staying isn't motivating him. Not being ready to leave is a very normal thing. Ending a relationship is a very scary thing. I'll also say, it ultimately doesn't matter if he does change. It would be good if he did, but what it comes down to is if you can forgive him. If you can move past everything, if you have the energy to put into it again. You can be grateful he was in your life and happy about having shared good parts together. But that doesn't change you being exhausted and at a point where you might not be able to forgive and trust him again. You deserve someone who puts in the effort without your relationship being on the brink. You deserve someone who wants to hold your hand instead of viewing it as some sword to lay on in sacrifice of a relationship. And you deserve someone who doesn't see the bare minimum of human decency as a pro in a relationship. Yeah, he didn't care to change when his behavior was affecting you. Now that it's affecting him, he's all ready to make an effort. He is selfish, please leave. Relationships should not be this hard at all. You will feel like a giant weight is off your shoulders. Let me tell you, when I've talked to my husband in the past about things that I needed him to change, he's always tried. He's constantly trying to better himself and our relationship. I've been with men like your BF, he may not be a bad person but he's a bad partner. Probably learn after you leave him how he should act, but never be that way to you unfortunately.